Hello, and welcome to AHA Team Training's video on TeamSTEPPS for the COVID-19 crisis. This video will feature a TeamSTEPPS tool called STEP. But before we begin, I want to introduce myself. My name is David Feldman, and I'm the Chief Medical Officer at the Doctors Company Group. In this video, we'll briefly educate you on the TeamSTEPPS tool itself, followed by how it can be applied during this critical time in healthcare. But first, we need to have a shared mental model on what TeamSTEPPS is. TeamSTEPPS, that is, team strategies and tools to enhance performance and patient safety, is an evidence-based set of tools designed to help healthcare professionals improve patient safety and quality through effective communication and teamwork skills. AHA Team Training is the leader in providing TeamSTEPPS education and support to the field. More than ever, TeamSTEPPS is helpful to introduce, spread, or sustain within your team during the COVID-19 crisis. The tools we are featuring fall under situation monitoring in the TeamSTEPPS curriculum. Situation monitoring is a way for team members to be aware of what is going on around them. This awareness will enable individuals to adapt to changes in the situation and will also create opportunities to support other team members when needed. Situation monitoring is moderated by communication, which allows for the sharing of new and emerging information with other team members to develop and maintain a shared mental model. Because situation monitoring concerns the willingness and ability to continually monitor situations and share this awareness with fellow team members, it is enhanced by team leadership, given that team leaders encourage and role model supportive behaviors. Situation monitoring also allows for mutual support through the ability to anticipate other team members' needs with accurate knowledge of their responsibilities. Situation monitoring is a continuous process because of the dynamic situations in which teams function. This process consists of three components. Situation monitoring, which is an individual skill, is the process of actively scanning and assessing elements of the situation to gain information or maintain an accurate understanding of the situation in which the team functions. Situation monitoring is a skill, which implies that it can be taught, developed, and improved. It enables team members to identify potential issues or minor deviations early enough to correct and handle them before they become a problem or pose harm to the patient. Situation awareness, an individual outcome, is the state of knowing the conditions that affect one's work. It is a detailed picture of the situation. Note that situation awareness is not a static thing or concept. Because the situation and context in which the situation exists are dynamic and ever-changing, team members must continuously assess relevant components of the situation and update their individual situational awareness. Shared mental models, a team outcome, are the result of each team member maintaining his or her situation awareness and sharing relevant facts with the entire team. Doing so helps ensure that everyone on the team is on the same page. A way to think about situation monitoring in a clinical setting is to use the STEP model. STEP is an easy to monitor and remember that stands for status of the patient, team members, environment, and progress towards goal. Let's describe each of these. Status of the patient refers to the team maintaining awareness of all of the typical elements of a patient's status. And this includes patient history, vital signs, medication, physical exam, plan of care, and psychosocial condition. Team member status is particularly important since for a team to work effectively, the members of the team must be performing at their optimal. As team members, we have a collective responsibility to be aware of each other with a particular focus on fatigue, workload, task performance, skill level, and stress level. One can imagine that these factors may be assessed differently depending on who the team members are, the type of clinical scenario encountered, and the circumstances under which the team is working. We'll discuss this last point later on in this video. Here's another mnemonic, and by the way, in case you haven't noticed, TeamSTEPPS is full of mnemonics, to help you and your team think about each other. Good team members are constantly maintaining awareness of the status of other team members when it comes to these factors: illness, medication, stress, alcohol and drugs, fatigue, eating, and elimination. The third step of STEP is environment. What is the situation around the team during an event? Is the air conditioning working properly in the cath lab where the team is working? Is the procedure schedule for the day in the GI suite being followed? Is there adequate staffing in the PACU to accept your patient when the procedure is over? Is your patient well enough to consider sending in a sicker patient who has been waiting in the ED? Is the defibrillator ready to go should the team need it during the resuscitation? Of course, these are just examples, but you can see how these environmental principles are applicable to any clinical scenario. The final element of STEP is progress toward goals, something I believe is easiest for a team to overlook, especially when the team is focused on providing their very best for a patient. Every team member should be aware of how long the event is going on, what the goal of the event is, whether finishing the arterial anastomosis during a replant or seeing the 15th patient of the day during a clinical session, and what might have changed since the plan was outlined during the brief. Part of this awareness includes not being afraid to reorient the team by calling for a huddle, another TeamSTEPPS skill found in the leadership section, an impromptu team event to help everyone refocus on what might have changed or should be changed when progress is not being made. Not surprisingly, there is ample data to show the benefits of TeamSTEPPS, and in particular, those found as part of situation monitoring. In one study, team behaviors were observed during surgery. As you can see, many of these behaviors reflect situational awareness. When an index was created using these behaviors, teams with a higher index were associated with better patient outcomes. Here's an example of how situation monitoring can be useful during these unusual times. You and your team in the ED are in the last few hours of your shift. During a patient intubation, you notice one of your team members struggling to keep it together. Maybe it's atypical shaking or sweating and unsteadiness. Maybe he or she is unusually quiet. And be mindful that PPE may make it difficult to assess the typical signs. Don't wait too long before asking your colleague if he or she is okay. Maybe they need water, a bathroom break, or just to vent. Remember, even if you believe your teammate needs to go home, but you know this will not be possible for a few hours, a few kind words, even just letting them speak to you about this, will often help them get through a rough time. Here is also a practical idea to take back to your team as soon as you finish watching this video. As we've said, the essence of situational awareness is keeping an eye out for your patient, your environment, your team members, and your task. During a crisis especially, team members need to know that they have each other's backs. Try to make a check-in with your team a regular occurrence that is built into your protocols. An easy way to do this is through a debrief. Get your team to agree to always conclude an event with a debrief that is no longer than, say, 2 or 3 minutes. And be sure to include STEP. Where's your patient going next? How is your team feeling? Who needs a break or something to eat or drink? What resources are needed for your next event? And how is your team progressing relative to the rest of the day's goals? AHA Team Training is here to support you during the COVID-19 crisis and for all your future patient safety and quality improvement needs. Please feel free to get in touch with the team should you need any additional assistance or resources.